Samuel George "Sammy Davis, Jr. was an American entertainer. Primarily a dancer and singer, he was also an actor of stage and screen, musician, and impressionist, noted for his impersonations of actors, musicians and other celebrities. At the age of 3 Davis began his career in vaudeville with his father and Will Mastin as the Will Mastin Trio, which toured nationally. After military service Davis returned to the trio. Davis became an overnight sensation following a nightclub performance at Ciro's after the 1951 Academy Awards. With the trio, he became a recording artist. In 1954, he lost his left eye in an automobile accident, and several years later, he converted to Judaism. Davis's film career began as a child in 1933. In 1960, he appeared in the first Rat Pack film, Ocean's 11. After a starring role on Broadway in 1956 as Mr. Wonderful, Davis returned to the stage in 1964's Golden Boy, and in 1966 had his own TV variety show, The Sammy Davis Jr. Show. Davis's career slowed in the late 1960s, but he had a hit record with the Candyman in 1972 and became a star in Las Vegas, earning him the nickname Mr. Show Business. As an African American, Davis was the victim of racism throughout his life and was a large financial supporter of the civil rights movement. Davis had a complex relationship with the African American community, and drew criticism after physically embracing President Richard M. Nixon in 1972. One day on a golf course with Jack Benny, he was asked what his handicap was. "Handicap?" he asked. "Talk about handicap I'm a one-eyed Negro Jew." This was to become a signature comment, recounted in his autobiography, and in countless articles. After reuniting with Sinatra and Dean Martin in 1987, Davis toured with them and Liza Minnelli internationally, before he died of throat cancer in 1990. He died in debt to the Internal Revenue Service, and his estate was the subject of legal battles. Davis was awarded the Spingarn Medal by the NAACP and was nominated for a Golden Globe and an Emmy Award for his television performances. He was the recipient of the Kennedy Center Honors in 1987, and in 2001, he was posthumously awarded the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. Early life: Samuel George Davis, Jr. was born in the Harlem section of Manhattan in New York City, as an only child, to Sammy Davis, Sr., a black entertainer, and Elvira Sanchez, a tap dancer of Afro-Cuban descent. At age 7, Davis appeared in a film in which he sang and danced with Ethel Waters during his lifetime. Davis, Jr. stated that his mother was Puerto Rican and born in San Juan. However, in the 2003 biography In Black and White, author Will Haygood writes that Davis, Jr.'s mother was born in New York City, to parents of Cuban, Afro-Cuban, and African American descent, and that Davis, Jr. claimed he was Puerto Rican because he feared anti-Cuban backlash would hurt his record sales. Davis's parents were vaudeville dancers. As an infant, he was reared by his paternal grandmother. When he was 3 years old, his parents separated. His father, not wanting to lose custody of his son, took him on tour. Davis learned to dance from his father and his uncle Will Mastin, who led the dance troupe his father worked for. Davis joined the act as a child and they became the Will Mastin Trio. Throughout his career, Davis included the Will Mastin Trio in his billing. Mastin and his father shielded him from racism. Snubs were explained as jealousy, for instance. When Davis served in the United States Army during World War II, however, he was confronted by strong racial prejudice. He later said, "Overnight the world looked different. It wasn't one color anymore. I could see the protection I'd gotten all my life from my father and Will. I appreciated their loving hope that I'd never need to know about prejudice and hate, but they were wrong. It was as if I'd walked through a swinging door for 18 years, a door which they had always secretly held open." Career. During service in WWII, the Army assigned Davis to an Integrated Entertainment Special Services unit and he found that the spotlight lessened the prejudice. Even prejudiced white men admired and respected his performances. "My talent was the weapon, the power, the way for me to fight." "It was the one way I might hope to affect a man's thinking," he said. After his discharge, Davis rejoined the Family Dance Act, which played at clubs around Portland, Oregon. He began to achieve success on his own and was singled out for praise by critics, releasing several albums. This led to Davis being hired to sing the title track for the Universal Pictures film Six Bridges to Cross in 1954, and later to his starring role in the Broadway play Mr. Wonderful in 1956. In 1959, Davis became a member of the famous Rat Pack, led by his friend Frank Sinatra, which included fellow performers Dean Martin, Joey Bishop, and Peter Lawford, a brother-in-law of John F. Kennedy. Initially, Sinatra called the gathering the Klan, but Davis voiced his opposition, saying that it reminded people of the Ku Klux Klan. Sinatra renamed the group the Summit, but the media referred to them as the Rat Pack, the name of its earlier incarnation led by Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall. The group made several movies together, including the original version of Ocean's 11, Sergeants 3, and Robin and the Seven Hoods, as well as many joint stage appearances in Las Vegas and elsewhere. Davies was a headliner at the Frontier Casino in Las Vegas, but he was required to lodge in a rooming house on the west side of the city, instead of in the hotels as his white colleagues did. No dressing rooms were provided for black performers, and they had to wait outside by the swimming pool between acts. Davis and other black artists could entertain, but could not stay at the hotels where they performed, gamble in the casinos, or dine or drink in the hotel restaurants and bars. Davis later refused to work at places which practiced racial segregation. In 1964, Davies was starring in Golden Boy at night and shooting his own New York-based afternoon talk show during the day. When he could get a day off from the theater, he would be recording new songs in the studio, or performing live, often at charity benefits as far away as Miami, Chicago, and Las Vegas, or doing television variety specials in Los Angeles. Davis knew he was cheating his family of his company, but he could not help himself. As he later said, he was incapable of standing still. Although he was still a draw in Las Vegas, Davis's musical career had sputtered by the latter 1960s, although he had a number 11 hit with I've Got to Be Me in 1969. His effort to update his sound and reconnect with younger people resulted in some hip musical efforts with the Motown record label. But then, even as his career seemed at its nadir, Sammy had an unexpected number 1 hit with the Candyman in 1972. Although he did not particularly care for the song and was chagrined that he was now best known for it, Davis made the most of his opportunity and revitalized his career. Although he enjoyed no more top 40 hits, he did enjoy popularity with his 1976 performance of the theme song from the Baretta TV series, Baretta's Theme, which was released as a single. He occasionally landed television and film parts, including cameo visits to the television shows I Dream of Jeannie, All in the Family on the Cheek, and, with wife Walter Weiss Davis, on Charlie's Angels. In the 1970s, he appeared in commercials in Japan for Suntory Whiskey. On December 11, 1967, NBC broadcast a musical variety special entitled Movin' with Nancy. In addition to the Emmy Award-winning musical performances, the show is notable for Nancy Sinatra, daughter of Frank Sinatra, and Sammy Davis, Jr., greeting each other with a kiss, one of the first black-white kisses in U.S. television history. Davies had a friendship with Elvis Presley in the late 1960s, as they both were top-draw acts in Vegas at the same time. Davies was in many ways just as reclusive during his hotel gigs as Elvis, holding parties mainly in his penthouse suite, and Elvis went to them occasionally. Davies sang a version of Presley's song In the Ghetto, and made a cameo appearance in Presley's concert film Elvis, That's the Way It Is. 1 year later, he made a cameo appearance in the James Bond film Diamonds Are Forever, but the scene was cut. In Japan, Davies appeared in television commercials for coffee, and in the United States, he joined Sinatra and Martin in a radio commercial for a Chicago car dealership. In May 27, 28, 1973, Davis hosted the first annual, 20-hour Highway Safety Foundation telethon. Guests included Muhammad Ali, Paul Anka, Jack Barry, Dr. Joyce Brothers, Ray Charles, Dick Clark, Roy Clark, Howard Cosell, Ossie Davis, Ruby Dee, Joe Franklin, Cliff Gorman, Richie Havens, Danny Kaye, Steve Leeds, Jerry Lewis, Hal Linden, Rich Little, Butterfly McQueen, Minnie Pearl, Boots Randolph, Tex Ritter, Phil Rizzuto, The Rockettes, Nipsey Russell, Sally Struthers, Mel Tillis, Ben Vereen, Lawrence Welk, and many more. It was a financial disaster. The total amount of pledges was $1.2 million. Actual pledges received were $525,000. Davis was a fan of daytime soap operas, particularly the shows produced by the American Broadcasting Company. This led to a cameo appearance on General Hospital and a recurring role as character Chip Warren on One Life to Live, for which he received a Daytime Emmy nomination in 1980. He was also a game show fan, appearing on the ABC version of Family Feud in 1979. He appeared on Tattletales with his third wife Alta Vise Davis in the 1970s. He made a cameo during an episode of the NBC version of Card Sharks in 1981. In addition to American soaps, he was also a huge fan of the Australian show Prisoner. Cell Block H. Davis wanted to make an appearance in Prisoner, but the show ended before this could be arranged. Davies was an avid photographer who enjoyed shooting family and acquaintances. His body of work was detailed in a 2007 book by Bert Boyer, named Photo by Sammy Davis Jr. Jerry Lewis gave me my first important camera, my first 35mm, during the Ciro's period, early 50s, Boyer quotes Davis. And he hooked me. Davies used a medium-format camera later on to capture images. Again quoting Davis, nobody interrupts a man taking a picture to ask, "What's that nigger doing here?" His catalog includes rare photos of his father dancing on stage as part of the Will Mastin Trio and intimate snapshots of close friends Jerry Lewis, Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, James Dean, Nat King Cole, and Marilyn Monroe. His political affiliations also were represented, in his images of Robert Kennedy, Jackie Kennedy, and Martin Luther King, Jr. His most revealing work comes in photographs of wife Mae Bright and their three children, Tracy, Jeff and Mark. Davies was an enthusiastic shooter and gun owner. He participated in fast draw competitions. Johnny Cash recalled that Sammy was said to be capable of drawing and firing a Colt single-action Army revolver in less than a quarter of a second. Davis was skilled at fast and fancy gun spinning, and appeared on TV variety shows showing off this skill. He appeared in Western films and as a guest star on several Golden Age TV westerns. Personal life, car accident and conversion to Judaism. Davies nearly died in an automobile accident on November 19, 1954, in San Bernardino, California, as he was making a return trip from Las Vegas to Los Angeles. In 1953, he had struck up a friendship with comedian and host Eddie Cantor, who gave him a mezuzah. Instead of putting it by his door, as a traditional blessing, Davis would wear it around his neck as a good luck charm. The only time he forgot it, one night in 1954, he crashed his car on a way to a gig in California. The accident occurred at a fork in U.S. Highway 66 at Cajon Boulevard and Kendall Drive. Davis lost his left eye to the bullet-shaped horn button as a result. His friend, actor Jeff Chandler, offered one of his own eyes if it would keep Davis from total blindness. The offer was not needed. Davis wore an eye patch for at least 6 months following the accident. He appeared on What's My Line? Wearing the patch. Later, he was fitted for a glass eye, which he wore for the rest of his life. While in San Bernardino's community hospital, Eddie Cantor told him about the similarities between the Jewish and black cultures. Prompted by this conversation, Davies, who was born to a Catholic mother and Protestant father, began studying the history of Jews. He formally converted to Judaism several years later, in 1961. One passage from his readings, describing the endurance of the Jewish people, intrigued him. In particular, the Jews would not die. 3 millennia of prophetic teaching had given them an unwavering spirit of resignation and had created in them a will to live which no disaster could crush. In many ways, the accident marked a turning point in Davis's career. taking him from a well-known entertainer to a national celebrity. Marriages. In 1957, Davis was involved with Kim Novak, a young actress under contract to Columbia Studios. The head of the studio, Harry Cohn, was worried about the negative effect this would have on the studio because of the prevailing taboo against miscegenation. He called his friend, mobster Johnny Rosselli, who was asked to tell Davis that he had to stop the affair with Novak. Rosselli arranged for Davis to be kidnapped for a few hours to throw a scare into him. His hastily arranged and soon dissolved marriage to black dancer Lorraine White in 1958 was an attempt to quiet the controversy. In 1960, Davis caused controversy again when he married white Swedish-born actress Mae Bright. Davis received hate mail while starring in the Broadway musical adaptation of Golden Boy during 1964-66. At the time Davis appeared in the play, interracial marriages were forbidden by law in 31 U.S. states, and only in 1967 were those laws ruled unconstitutional by the U.S. Supreme Court. Davis and Bright had one daughter Tracy and adopted two sons. Davis performed almost continuously and spent little time with his wife. They divorced in 1968, after Davis admitted to having had an affair with singer Lola Falana. That year, Davis started dating Altivise Gore, a dancer in Golden Boy. They were married on May 11, 1970, by the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Kathy McKee replaced Altivise in Davis's nightclub act. Davis adopted a son, Manny, in 1989 and remained married until Davis's death in 1990. Political beliefs. Davis was a lifelong Democrat. In the early 1970s, he startled President Nixon with a hug during a live television broadcast. The incident was controversial. Davis also made a USO tour to South Vietnam at Nixon's request. Previously Davis had won Nixon's respect with his participation in the civil rights movement. Nixon invited Davis and his wife, Altivise, to sleep in the White House in 1973, the first time black people were invited to do so. The Davises spent the night in the Queen's bedroom. Davis was a longtime donor to the Reverend Jesse Jackson's Operation Push organization. The Reverend Dr. Jesse Jackson also performed Davis's wedding. Death. Davis died in Beverly Hills, California, on May 16, 1990, of complications from throat cancer. Earlier, when he was told that surgery offered him the best chance of survival, Davis replied he would rather keep his voice than have a part of his throat removed. He subsequently was treated with a combination of chemotherapy and radiation. However, a few weeks prior to his death his entire larynx was removed during surgery. He was interred in the Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California, next to his father and Will Mastin. On May 18, 1990, 2 days after Davis's death, the neon lights of the Las Vegas Strip were darkened for 10 minutes as a tribute to him. He was survived by his spouse, his daughter, his sons, his sister, his mother and his grandmother. Legacy. Davis was portrayed by Don Cheadle in the HBO film The Rat Pack, a television film about the group of entertainers. Cheadle won a Golden Globe Award for his performance. Comedian Eddie Griffin has made his impersonation of Davis a major part of his act. On later episodes of The Cosby Show, Cliff Huxtable wore an SDJR pin as a tribute to Davis, who, in its 5th season, made a guest appearance in the episode No Way, Baby. On Saturday Night Live, Davis has been portrayed by Garrett Morris, Eddie Murphy, Billy Crystal and Tim Meadows. Davis was portrayed on the popular sketch comedy show In Living Color by Tommy Davidson, notably a parody of the film Ghost, in which the ghost of Davis enlists the help of Whoopi Goldberg to communicate with his wife. David Rayn also portrayed Davis in The Manissa is Sinatra, a television film about the life of Frank Sinatra. Davis was portrayed by Keith Powell in an episode of 30 Rock entitled Subway Hero. In the 1993 film Wayne's World 2, Tim Meadows portrays Davis in the dream sequence with Michael A. Nichols as Jim Morrison. He was portrayed by Paul Sharma in the 2003 West End production Rat Pack Confidential. In September 2009, the musical Sammy, Once in a Lifetime premiered at the Old Globe Theatre in San Diego with book, music and lyrics by Leslie Bricker, and additional songs by Bricker and Anthony Newley. The title role was played by Broadway Tony Award nominee Ava Babbitt under copyright. Davis was mentioned in British singer Amy Winehouse's album Back to Black on the song Me and Mr. Jones. The lyrics are as follows: "Aside from Sammy, you're my best black Jew." A black and white portrait of Davis, drawn by Jim Blanchard, adorns the cover of avant-garde rock band Oxbow's second album King of the Jews. Midwest radio personality Kevin Matthews impersonated Sammy Davis Jr. many times on his radio show. Comedian Jim Carrey has portrayed Davis on stage, in the film Copper Mountain, and in a stand-up routine. Comedian Billy Crystal has portrayed Sammy Davis Jr. in his stand-up routine, and at the Oscars. In Frank Sinatra vs. Freddie Mercury, the October 1, 2012 episode of the YouTube parody series Epic Rap Battles of History, actor-musician Tay Zonday portrays Davis in a cameo. Sammy is a song dedicated to Davis on the 1997 Gwar album Carnival of Chaos. In the novel and its film adaptation Everything is Illuminated, the grandfather's seeing-eye dog is named Sammy Davis Jr. Jr. Discography. Honors and awards: Grammy Awards, Emmy Awards, other honors, filmography, stage Mr. Wonderful, musical, Golden Boy, musical Tony nomination for Best Actor in a Musical, Sammy, special performance featuring Davis with the Nicholas Brothers, Stop the World I Want to Get Off musical revival, TV, General Electric Theatre The Patsy Season 8 Episode 21, Lawman episode Blue Boss and Willie Shea. Henzi episode Tight Quarters. The Rifleman 2 episodes 2 Ounces of Tin, and The Most Amazing Man. 77 Sunset Strip episode The Gang's All Here. Ben Casey episode Ali. The Patty Duke Show episode Will the Real Sammy Davis Please Hang Up? The Wild Wild West episode The Night of the Returning Dead. I Dream of Jeannie episode The Greatest Entertainer in the World. The Mod Squad episode Keep the Faith Baby. The Name of the Game episode I Love You, Billy Baker, All in the Family episode Sammy's Visit. Poor Devil pilot, The Carol Burnett Show Charlie's Angels episode Sammy Davis, Jr. Kidnap Caper. Sanford and Son Self, Archie Bunker's Place episode The Return of Sammy. The Jeffersons episode, What Makes Sammy Run? Gimme a Break episode The Look-alike. Hunter episode Ring of Honor. The Cosby Show episode No Way, Baby. See also, Jews and Judaism in the African Diaspora, list of notable Hispanics from the United States, references. Further reading, autobiographies, Yes, I Can ISBN 0-374-52268-5, Why Me? ISBN 0-446-36025-2, Sammy ISBN 0-374-29355-4. Consolidates the two previous books and includes additional material, Hollywood in a Suitcase ISBN 0-425-05091-2, Biographies, Haygood, Will. In Black and White, The Life of Sammy Davis, Jr. New York, A. A. Knopf. ISBN A0-375-40354 Exa, Birkbeck, Matt. Deconstructing Sammy. Amistad. ISBN 978-0-06-145066-2, Silber, J.R., Arthur Sammy Davis, Jr., Me and My Shadow, Samart Enterprises, ISBN 0-9655675-5-9, Other, photo by Sammy Davis, Jr. ISBN 0-06-114605-6, external links. Sammy Davis, Jr. at All Movie, Sammy Davis, Jr. at Find a Grave, Sammy Davis, Jr. at the Internet Broadway Database, Sammy Davis, Jr. at the Internet Movie Database, discography of Sammy Davis, Jr.'s recording career, obituary, NY Times, May 17, 1990. Sammy Davis Jr. dies at 64. Top showman broke barriers. Sammy Davis Jr. talks to draft dodgers in Canada. CBC Archives, archival television audio on Sammy Davis Jr. Will Mastin Trio c. 1935. Sammy Davis Sr., Sammy Davis Jr., and Will Mastin. Photograph of the Will Mastin Trio, Sammy Davis Sr., Sammy Davis Jr., and Will Mastin. BBC Radio 4 program on Sammy Davis, Jr.